Breaking news. The local city bank has been robbed by a crooked thief, leaving it with nothing inside. Today we will be interviewing the people of this town to get their opinions on this travesty. First we got this guy. Sir,
Hello.
what's your opinion on this?
Today is February 2026, and Jordan hasn't uploaded since last year?
Thank you, sir, for your opinion. Now, it wasn't what I asked. It's greatly appreciated. I fucking hate my job.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is I, Mr. J Dizzle. So this video is going to be a little bit different from the previous four. Some of you may actually remember that I used to make these type of videos many moons ago.
The decapitated corpse of Gary falls from above, with his cheeks being ripped clean off.
Where I would basically get a spooky horror game and explain the plot, story, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in the most Jordan-esque way possible. So I'm gonna give this concept another shot and see how it goes. And the game we're gonna be checking out today is titled
It's Just a Prank Bro.
Created by Bober Bros. Also, another thing I want to do before we start is apologizing for lying. I know, I said I would bring a face cam to the next video, and I was going to. Here's a picture of me even holding it. But ladies and gentlemen, guys and girlies, I realized something horrible after making this camera purchase. I am very ugly. I'm gonna be real with you. If you saw my face for a very long period of time, you might, actually, wait, no, you will turn into stone. So we might have to hold back on the face cam for just a wee bit longer. Maybe when we hit a certain milestone, I will consider it. Speaking of milestones, we are getting so close to 500 subscribers. And turns out, most of the people that watch these videos are not even subscribed. So yeah, I'm talking to you, tough guy. If you're not subscribed, click that button maybe, you know, like, help a brother out. With that being said, let's begin our horrific and terrifying journey here today in 3, 2, 1. Corbin? Our story begins with our protagonist Philip waking up ready to start his day with a lovely bowl of cereal, which is given to us by our mom, who casually slides that shit under the door because fuck eating at the table, I guess. After eating said cereal, we get a phone call from our good friend Johan, who tells Philip to hurry his ass up and get outside so they can both walk to school together. And so, after throwing on some fresh new clothes, Philip makes his way outside where Johan is waiting for us. As they make their way to school, Johan mentions that he's got some crazy new stuff to use for some mischief later on in the day, bringing up that him and Philip both gotta get back at one of their friends named Agatha, which I will assume pulled some sort of devious prank on these two fucks not too long ago. But anyways, I digress. Once they both get to school, one of the crazy items that Johan mentions turns out to be an absolute classic. The whoopee cushion. Just as a side note, anyone who farts in public and does not care, hats off to you, my friend. I wish I had your level of confidence. It's like shitting yourself, but like, with authority, you know? Johan then instructs Philip to place this whoopee cushion on a fellow student's desk named Gustav, who unfortunately falls for this middle school prank and isn't quite too happy about it. Johan makes this even worse for him, announcing to the whole class that he did it, making everyone laugh at him. But oh well, what do I know? Harmless prank, no one got hurt. Cool, we're good. Just then, our teacher, Miss Klubnica, who I'm just gonna call Miss Pawnee because I want to fucking actually read, instructs everyone to take their seats so she can take attendance. It's here where we meet another one of our main characters, Agatha, who we find out pretty quickly had some behavior issues the day before, according to the teacher. Agatha tries to explain that this isn't true and she didn't do anything, but is shut down very quickly by Miss Pawnee, saying that she's gonna have to call Agatha's father so he can deal with her himself. As she continues to get literally scolded, Philip glances over at Johan, who has that smug-ass smile on his face, immediately letting us know that he had something to do with this. Look, I don't know what Agatha did to piss this guy off, but really, getting your dad involved in something that you didn't even do, maybe that's just a little bit messed up, huh, Mr. Johan, you piece of shit? But as if that wasn't enough already, he isn't quite done pranking her yet. Sometime after class ends, Johan then hands Philip a shaken up soda and tells us to hand it to her, which, unfortunately, we agree to. Philip walks over to her and offers the soda, which at first she says no to. Instead, she wants answers on who lied to Miss Pawnee about her behavior, telling us that her dad's gonna freak the fuck out on her once she gets home. She knows for a fact that Johan was 100% behind all this and kindly asks Philip to explain to her father that Johan made the whole thing up about her. Thankfully, Philip agrees to this and is met with some admiration from her even, calling him a true lifesaver. Aww. It's only then though she wants to take a sip of that soda, and after cracking it open, it unfortunately blows up in her face. After school finishes up that day, Agatha meets Philip outside and tells him that she cannot walk home with them today, as she has to get home to her father quickly. She also reminds us to tell her father that little shit Johan is making up a bunch of lies about her. Philip reassures her and lets her know that everything is gonna be just like A-okay. After she leaves, Johan finally gets out of school and begins to walk home with Philip. It's here where we ask Johan if he falsely reported Agatha to the teacher, which he denies, but we know that's not true. We also get a taste of what this guy is like emotionally as well, showing zero to little empathy after Philip tells him that her father probably isn't going to be the most kind to her, and he just brushes that off nonchalantly, saying shit like, "Don't sweat it, bro. She'll totally be fine." Philip mentions that he's going to tell her father that Johan lied, but Johan isn't a big fan of that idea, asking us not to mention his name around him, as apparently he's already got issues with the guy, for some reason. I don't know why, maybe he just TP'd his house or something. After listening to more of Johan's lack of concern for Agatha, he switches the conversation to wanting to taxidermy a beaver and mentions that he's already practiced on dead rats, because that's just a normal thing that normal 12-year-olds do, I guess. Philip finally makes his way home and he gets a phone call later into the night from an angry-sounding man, and to say that this guy is pissed is definitely an understatement, dropping all kinds of slurs. This man turns out to be none other than Agatha's father, where he asks Philip if Johan is spreading rumors or if Agatha did what she was reported for. But before we can give him an answer, her father threatens to kill Johan if he did make it all up. This causes Philip to freak out, not wanting Johan to die, and ultimately tells him that Agatha is making it all up. After hearing this, he then changes his shift towards Agatha and begins to unfortunately get very physical with her. Philip hangs up the phone and goes to bed hoping that she's gonna be okay the next morning. He wakes up to start a new day and immediately gets another phone call, this time being Johan, who apparently has some batshit insane news to tell us outside. And so, after eating some more cereal and throwing on some fresh clothes, Philip meets Johan outside, and as they're walking, he explains that last night his window was smashed by a deranged man screaming his lungs out at him. This man being, yet again, Agatha's father. It's also not so surprisingly revealed that he's kinda got a drinking problem, which causes him to crash the hell out like he did the night before. Meanwhile, Johan mentions that he caught yet another rat last night and describes this experience as had some fun with it before he finished it off.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
This strange behavior continues as he describes the dead rat as sweet smelling and even cracks a few jokes about killing it, like it's some fucking normal Tuesday afternoon. After reaching the school, Johan notices that
Zero swag.
has left some decadent orange juice sitting there on his desk unsupervised. This gives Johan the idea of switching
Zero swag.
his orange juice with Philip's gross-ass tomato juice that he brought. Of course, Philip thinks this would be funny and does the switch and waits for
Zero swag.
to come back. The bell rings and it's here where we meet our substitute teacher. Oh my fucking god. Miss V is what I'm gonna call her. Seems like a chill old lady. She begins to take roll call with Agatha thankfully being present, but as she's doing this,
Zero swag.
takes a sip of that tomato juice and vomits all over his desk, which by the way, I don't know how this kid fell for this prank. I mean, let's be honest here. Last time I checked, orange juice is typically orange and tomato juice is red. Yet this doofus still drank it.
Coffee, spelled backwards, is E5.
Miss V luckily has some human decency and helps the poor kid clean up the mess. But even after this, it still isn't enough for Johan, and after Miss V turns her back to the chalkboard, he orders Philip to start throwing paper balls at her. Just like he asked, Philip starts throwing these paper balls at her enough times to the point where Miss V goes from sweet old lady to full-blown mental breakdown. Absolutely going off on both of these kids for being, well, pieces of shit. She storms off and Johan labels this whole fiasco as epic. And still, even after all this still isn't enough for him and tells Philip to go distract Agatha while he pulls yet another prank. Doing so, Philip approaches Agatha and for the first time in this game, he shows legitimate concern for her, asking her how she's doing after the whole phone call thing and that her father is pure nightmare fuel. Philip then tells her that they should get back to their seats, but the moment Agatha gets back to her desk, she finds a dead rat just chilling out on there. Horrified by this, it causes her to start having an asthma attack while Johan just looks and laughs. It's here where Philip finally scolds this fuck and tells him that he went way too far. Just then, our old teacher Miss Pawnee walks in, asking who caused Miss V to have a mental breakdown. That's when she notices the state of Agatha and instructs Philip to take her home so her father can yet again deal with her, showing no interest in Agatha's mental or physical health whatsoever. Philip agrees to do so, and as he's walking her home, it's revealed that she faked the whole thing to leave school, simply because she didn't want to hear the teacher scold everyone on who made Miss V leave mid-lecture. Both of these guys agree that Johan took shit way too far with that dead rat, and she asks Philip if they can hang out at the park instead, as going home to her drunk dad probably isn't gonna go too well. Philip agrees to go down there with her, but before they can, Johan comes out of nowhere and states that he ducked the class and wants to join the two of them. And so they all head out to Johan's super secret hangout spot. And Agatha, still being reasonably pissed off at him, states that her dad hit her because of what Johan did. But again, this guy just doesn't give a fuck and dodges any form of responsibility responsibility. Eventually, they all get to the spot, which turns out to be a little isolated area. There's a tent that I'm assuming Johan just hangs out in by himself because reasons. Anyways, Johan thinks it's a great idea to play a fun game of hide and seek out here. Both Philip and Agatha agree to play and decide that Agatha will be seeking this game. With that being said, she closes her eyes and begins to count as Philip and Johan run off to go find a hiding spot. But only a few seconds go by and we hear some sort of loud crack from a few feet away. Worried that something bad may have happened, Philip runs back and notices that Agatha is laying on the ground with a pool of blood surrounding her head, with Johan giving nothing but a cold look down at her. Turns out, this fucking swollen ankle of a person tied her shoelaces together, causing her to fall and hit her head on a large rock. And just to add the icing on the cake, Johan still has the audacity to say it's just a prank. Philip, being horrified by this, tells Johan that he's gonna run back to the school and tell Miss Pawnee what happened. But instead of an answer, Johan is just silent, not saying a word. He runs back to the school so the teacher can help them, but sadly, once Philip does get there, Miss Pawnee ain't having none of it, not believing anything Philip is telling her because of the previous pranks he already pulled. The teacher then punishes Philip by making him stay until the end of the day, leaving Johan and the lifeless Agatha alone. Later into the evening, a guard lets Philip out of the building and he immediately rushes back to the site where Agatha had hit her head. Once he gets there, neither Johan or Agatha are seen anywhere. He prays that both of them are okay and he runs back home to go call Johan. Arriving at the house, Philip picks up the phone to call him but gets no answer. That's when Philip's mom slides in 2 bowls of cereal under the door, saying that Johan came over earlier and waited for him to get home. The camera then cuts to the perspective of assuming Johan watching Philip from his closet. However, he doesn't question this at all, dismissing that your own mom said that the guy that killed your friend was in your room. Got it! Philip heads to bed for the night, and after waking up the next morning, he realizes that Agatha's inhaler was mysteriously left in the closet. Moments later, he gets a weird phone call from a person on the other end, breathing heavily, not saying anything to him. Philip leaves for school and notices that Johan is nowhere to be seen, which strikes him as strange because he's never late. After waiting for a few minutes, he's like, yep, fuck this dude, and ends up walking to school by himself. He arrives at school a little bit later than usual, noticing that Agatha and Johan are still nowhere to be seen, and after sitting down in his chair to start the day, he immediately feels some sort of sharp pain throughout his whole body. Turns out, someone had planted an exposed nail in Philip's chair, causing him to bleed everywhere. Miss Pawnee, again, is just not fucking having it with this and throws all sorts of insults at him. Like, seriously, how is this lady considered a teacher when she says stuff like this? Like, bro, this is Gordon Ramsay levels of anger.
It's raw. It's fucking.
She tells Philip that he needs to stay late after school again to clean up his mess. And Philip, I guess not wanting to argue back with her, agrees to do so like he always does. Later that night, Philip cleans everything up and begins his journey back home. As he's walking, he can't help but get the feeling that he's being stalked by someone. That's when the camera cuts to the second-person perspective of a crazed Johan running after Philip. Luckily, he makes it home in one piece and notices a note left on his desk. The note is from his mom, telling us that she is conveniently working the late shift and will not be home. Oh, dude, let's go. This is great. I got the whole house to myself. Would be a shame if there was a sudden knock at my door. Oh, fuck. Yep, there's a knock at the door, and it's not our mom. Philip calls out who's there, and wouldn't you know, it's none other than Johan, who claims that him and Agatha both want to apologize for what happened the other day. Philip fires back at him, asking how he even got inside the house and swore that he locked the door behind him, which Johan says that Philip's mom let them in earlier, saying that they could wait until he got home. He also starts to blame Philip for ditching him and Agatha to handle the whole fallout on their own. Philip ain't having none of that bullshit and says that Johan's pranks go way too far and doesn't even want to be friends with him anymore. He doesn't even believe that Agatha is truly okay and asks Johan to hear her voice. Which then, after a long pause, Johan plays a clearly recorded audio of Agatha saying that she needs to use the bathroom. He pleads more and more at Philip to open the door, claiming that he brought a whole box of Philip's favorite strawberry cupcakes. And dude, I thought I was fat, but the moment Philip hears that, he opens that shit right away. Johan places the box of cupcakes on Philip's desk with Agatha still nowhere to be seen. Philip again questions this, and Johan says that she's gonna be there in a second as she is still using the bathroom. It's here where Philip walks over to the box, only to lift it up and see the severed head of Agatha looking back at him, with Johan appearing behind us, ultimately killing Philip as well. What's up? This is Editor Jordan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is gonna conclude today's video. Please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this whole story explained format or whatever. I kinda just wanted to revisit something I used to do 4 years ago, see what it would look like if I did it nowadays, and me personally, I thought it turned out pretty good actually. But I'm not the only one that has opinions, so let me know what you think of it as well. Also, one more thing before I do leave, I apologize for not uploading for the month of January. That month kicked my freaking ass, dude. Life and work and all this other adulting bullshit hit me pretty hard last month, but hey, that is not gonna stop your boy from making some videos. And all I ask you to do in return is maybe click that subscribe button, but you know what? Hey, totally up to you. You don't have to, but you should. Anyways, I gotta get going. I got a Caniac combo with my name on it. Smash like if you do enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Right, it's the same size as the bolt, and you realize it's just fucking stuck. Because it's so fucking rusted shut that you gotta put every fucking fiber in your bean to go turn the goddamn thing.